It's day 2 on the onX Build Challenge route to SEMA.
I think we got a fire.
And today, it's all about hitting some trails. There's no votes to win over the next 2 days, just a true overlanding test of our competitors' vehicles. We're taking them deep into the Arizona desert for a multi-day trip that's going to include a bunch of time on the trails and a test of their camping setups. We're starting just north of Tucson on the Charouleau Gap Trail, a 34-mile point-to-point trail in the Coronado National Forest. The trail is rated a 7 out of 10 on the onX Trail Card and has an elevation change of just over 2,000 feet. It'll be the perfect test for our group of well-built overlanders.
In the hastiness of getting that rig built and getting out here, I wasn't able to check tire clearance before the bumper got installed, and unfortunately, because I moved the axle about 2 inches forward when I built the suspension, it got into the bumper and just mangled the bumper. So pushed it back into place as much as I could and cut a little bit of clearance into it, and we're good to go.
The main obstacle on the trail is the step, a difficult climb on the left or an easier off-camber path to the right. Either line will be the first chance for many of our competitors to test their vehicles.
I tried to go up the gut of it, but my top kept kind of getting into the ledge. And since this vehicle is going to be somebody else's, I didn't want to bend it, so we went around, which is kind of hairy in itself, but we got it done.
I'm super excited. This is really the first obstacle that Liberty Bibbity Sheila has been on, and the first trail. So this is going to feel a little tipsy. You know all those times that I yell at people, driver, more driver, and they're like, I don't have power steering, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's karma. That didn't feel as bad as I thought.
No, this thing handled it great.
Right, that was awesome.
Being a full-bodied rig with a shell on the back, the left line that is probably a little safer is just too narrow for me.
So for the onX Build Challenge this year, we bought a 85 Jaguar XJ6. We also bought a first-gen Dodge Cummins. And to top that off, we bought a Toyota Rock Crawler. Then we combined all three into this awesomeness that you see here. So it's funny, in all the comments of people not in the United States, this is called a Jaguar. But otherwise, we call it in the South a Jaguar, and it is a beautiful car, and we tried to keep it beautiful. So part of the inspiration for this build was obviously Mad Max, as you can see, but also Monty Python and the Holy Grail. We tore apart the Holy Grail of all Dodges, and I thought, what a perfect name, the Holy Grail. So for the drivetrain, we've got a 12-valve Cummins. We have a GetRag 360 manual transmission, and behind that is an NP205 transfer case. We have a total of 175 horsepower in that thing, but rolling pole, it's gonna look really awesome. Dana 60s, front and rear, and 586 gearing. We've got 17-inch wheels and 43 sticky Mickey Thompson tires. So we chose Yukon gear and axle because they are the absolute best. Yukon is also an elite partner with onX Offroad, and that way we were able to save a little bit of money on our budget to use that discount code. This car that we built has a wheelbase that's not measured in inches, it's measured in feet. It is 12 feet for the wheelbase. The ground clearance is really high. We tucked that belly up to about 3 feet of ground clearance. So all of the suspension came off of that Toyota rock crawler. Because we were on a budget of $20,000, we knew that the best way to do that instead of buying parts was to buy vehicles and scavenge those parts. All of the suspension travel is in the rear. We've got leaf springs up front, but for whatever reason, they're super stiff. But flex is overrated, especially when you have 12 feet of wheelbase. All of our flex is in the rear, which it flexes out really well back there. And the front is stiff, which is good because that keeps the body square.
I'm going to the left because I think we can clear it. I think we can straddle this crack up here. I think these tires have the width and they'll bite and keep the roof off the wall. So the first line, thought we had it. The right tire was getting down in the hole. It was pulling the left front up in the air and just wanting to tip it over this way. We decided to try the right line and afraid it was going to get real tippy. And it wasn't too bad.
It was a lot more stable than I expected.
Yeah.
Good job.
Woo!
It's such an untested build. This is like the craziest shakedown run. And before we even got to shaking, I already found like a bolt halfway out. So we went back to town, we got a nut in order to get everything back together, and then we started having temperature issues, like as soon as we got back on the trail, which I haven't had any temperature issues yet, but the fan wasn't coming on. So we turned around, we went back to town again, we got everything we needed in order to get the fan working. I wired it to a switch on the cab that I already had installed, and then we spent the evening and into the night catching up with the group.
So, Josh, why are there only 4 rigs on the trail today?
Everybody quit.
No, they got quit.
Quitters.
All right, it's day 2 of the onX Offroad Build Challenge, and we're having an absolute blast. We're on Charouleau Gap, we're on a trail here in Arizona, and this is what I built this for. These moderate trails. And of course I'm using the onX Offroad app on my phone, making my way through here. I didn't attach anything to the window to hold my phone, so it's just been rocking and rolling on my phone down here in the cup holder.
During the obstacle course section yesterday, I was gripping on when we fell off the hill. I grabbed onto the steering wheel to brace for impact. So that's why Josh is driving today, because this thing's a lot to handle, plus it's a stick shift. But Josh is very capable, he's a good driver, right?
I pretend to be.
So far.
It works out. It keeps working out.
The Ford frame that we put under this, the running gear already had an electric locker in the back, a Yukon zip in the front of it. So she's fully locked up. It's actually pretty capable. It's got 538 gears all the way around. It cruises down the freeway still, good freeway speeds, plus low range with the 241 transfer case. It's low enough that it crawls pretty good as well.
Seem to be smoking a lot right now. Hopefully nothing too crazy.
Oh, it's smoking a little bit.
Golly, what the? Oh yeah, there's a lot of smoke. I hope that's not fire. I'll touch the.
I think we got a fire.
What? Fire!
We go up here.
Fire!
And we noticed a little bit of smoke, but we couldn't quite tell if it was coming out of her exhaust or what. And within, I don't know, a couple hundred yards, a little bit of smoke turned into a lot of smoke. And she came to a stop and jumped out. And I knew before she even said anything what was happening. So I've got a fire extinguisher right behind my seat. So I jumped out and ran up there, and it looked like she'd lost a power steering hose and put it on the exhaust, and up in flames it went. So luckily the fire went out pretty quickly. And with the help of the bleeping Jeep guys, we were able to cobble the thing back together and get it going again.
But she still, I don't think, has power steering. I think that pump is out. So she's gonna be strong by the end of the day today.
We've had a fire. We've had a radiator thing. We're starting the car up with screwdrivers. The great thing is we're on the trail with incredible people who put the fire out quickly. And we are now moving in a grouping.
So if you guys have been wondering why Hope doesn't ride along with us a lot of the times, it's because when she is, she drinks this stuff by the gallon.
That can't be healthy.
We rolled into camp later than expected, but even with the sun setting, our group was ready to tackle the most overlanding challenge of the week, a cooking challenge. Overlanding is often referred to as the most expensive way to make a meal, and our teams lived up to that by bringing pressure cookers, smokers, and even stand-in semi-professional chefs.
So we are making street tacos. So we've got some pork shoulder going with some spices and beef broth and a little beer and some cilantro, onions. Got some limes ready, and Matt's about to fry the tortillas.
For the cooking challenge, I brought in my beautiful wife, Mallory. She brought all the food and prepared all that stuff, and I was just kind of her sous chef, more or less.
So for the cooking challenge, we brought our secret weapon, which is the lunch lady, my wife, Hope. She's an awesome cook.
We made up some dirty rice and then barbecue chicken for you guys tonight. So I hope you're hungry. It's gonna be good.
We were thinking maybe the guest judge was going to be Ian, but the surprise was it was the camera crew, John and Cam. So that was pretty cool.
So we've got some linguiça roll-ups, which is a Portuguese sausage. We're doing a steak seasoned with some local seasoning.
Well, hello there.
We're gonna have some really good street tacos, and we've got some cinnamon churro dessert.
Team H&F Cooking made a Tucson specialty, the Sonoran dog.
We showed up so late, and I knew there was gonna be so much food. I was strategically thinking, hey, instead of them being already pigged out and then eating my food, why don't we just wait till tomorrow morning and have some breakfast steaks? And hopefully they liked them. So it was coffee, cayenne pepper, garlic and pepper, and then a bunch of salt. I mean, they were juicy, that's for sure. I hope that I impressed the judges.
The results from the cooking challenge are in. The judges took this incredibly serious. There was 4 categories. There was presentation, taste, camping complexity, and then the last one was basically your overall cooking setup, so how your gear was set up, all cut stuff. And we do have a winner by 1 point out of the entire thing. And the winner is Lunch Lady. Oh, what Bleepy has won is an advantage that he will use later on the trip.
Morning of day 2 on Charouleau Gap Trail. We just had some breakfast. Everybody's packing up camp and we're getting ready for another good day on the trail.
It's day 2 on Charouleau Gap, and the first 15 miles were amazing. I really look forward to seeing the next 15.
How's it driving? I haven't got to drive it off-road still, except for that hill where I messed up my arm.
I mean, it just goes.
Just go.
Point it, and it's just gonna.
Check out. Watch your head. Check out these visors. They'll chop your head off if you leave them in the wrong position.
Yes.
But it's very Mad Max.
I mean, that was my goal, was to bring some excitement. Like, oh, Liberty Beauty Sheila, oh, such a boring build. I've given you fire, I've given you radiator, freaking steam smoke.
Yep.
I've given you a steering wheel that may break your limbs, and but all with a smile.
I brought a 1982 Jeep J10. Actually, that's not true at all. I couldn't get the J10 done in time in a way that I would have liked it, so we made a last-minute change. It was within the rules. I made the phone call, and I decided to bring a 1973 Land Rover Series 3. This started out life leaf sprung, and it had axles that were very old tech, very small, very light. And so I decided to do a set of Land Cruiser 80 axles, super strong, disc brakes on all 4 corners. It's an upgrade in many ways, and one of those upgrades is suspension style. So we used Jeep coils on Toyota axles and slammed it all together with Barnes parts under a Land Rover. The engine that came with this, I was having a hard time getting it going. It was a very underwhelming gas engine that made like 70 horsepower. So I wanted to boost this power up quite a bit, and I put a 85 horse turbo diesel out of a Land Rover Defender. These axles are inherently strong, especially for a vehicle this light, but I wanted to gear everything down because we need it for power. I mean, this engine makes 85 horsepower. So we threw 529 Yukon gears in it. We put some lockers in there. This had been sitting on the side of somebody's house for 25 years. It's still, the body's fairly straight. There's rust here and there, but it has like the perfect level of patina for me. And so I wanted to keep it classic. I didn't want to reinvent the wheel and paint it and all that. I wanted it to have this just kind of like beat up old farm Land Rover vibe, but then throw some really good, you know, aftermarket parts at it to make it super capable off-road and give it kind of a retro mod feel. These are Method bead grip wheels, and I have just had the best luck with these. I mean, I'm at 7 PSI right now, and I'm not worried that we're gonna lose a tire, and that's very rare for a non-bead lock. So I paired those up with a set of 37 1350 R17 Nitto mud grapplers. I saved a lot of money in places that made sense, but things like, you know, I had to have quality ring and pinions, had to have quality wheel. Like there's certain things that are just gonna, you gotta bite the bullet and save when you can. And so I use the Leap Partner program to save on a lot of that product. But we still, I mean, it's a very narrow window between making it over budget or making it under budget. I'm proud of the fact that we were able to cobble this together so quickly. We're able to stay under budget and able to come to Arizona and hang out with our friends. It is difficult to put into words how good it feels to not be under the rig and to be in the rig. I'm glad we started on the street because everybody's rigs held together, and now we get to do like the actual test, what we actually built these for, and that's to go on dirt. I feel like this Land Rover is really in its element out here. You know, when I thought Arizona, I was like, it would be so sweet to be in a convertible. We didn't have time to do a cage, but with it being like overlandy stuff, I wasn't super concerned, just gonna be very cautious. But like, as you can hear, not everything is trimmed correctly. This isn't done, but it feels at home on this trail in a huge way. Like, this is one of those trails where if you're overbuilt, this is gonna be boring. We're not overbuilt. We are built just right to have fun out here, but it is just a blast to have something like this on a trail like this, something that's like a little bit understated, something that just looks this good, and something where we're smack dab in the middle of the environment with no roof. You know, it's very, very fun to be out here doing this with my friends.
So this is a combination of Monty Python and the Holy Grail / Mad Max build, but we really went with the Mad Max theme, as you can see. Witness me! We should have got points for dressing up on Halloween, but we had a good time out there, dressing up as Mad Max characters, and it was a lot of fun.
Says we're at about 4,016 feet.
We're over-rocking.
Over-rocking, yeah. We are over-rocking and rolling.
With all of our competitors proving that their vehicles are very capable overlanders, we're gonna head north into the town of Payson, Arizona, where I've picked a pretty hard trail for our team, but it has plenty of bypasses around all the hard obstacles. But if they want to win more votes, they're gonna have to hit all the hard lines.